Good evening. Welcome, you all. Thank you for joining us this evening for Boss Talk with the Empowerment Maven, our special edition for the Women of Success panel. This evening's guest is Miss Christine Campbell Rapin. I'm sorry. She is an energetic, tell it like it is business advisor slash mentor. And that for me had me sold because I love to tell it like it is. We don't sugarcoat it. We just give it raw and real, unapologetically. So I love that. She is a consultant, speaker, and 3-time international best-selling author. Let's give it up. She supported over 400 companies to create a combined revenue more than $1 billion and believes business growth can be elegantly simple when you focus on the 3 non-negotiable business foundations that build a client growth engine. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time. And I will let you tell us, in your words, who you are, what you represent, and about your brand.
Absolutely. Thursday, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. And I want people to know right away, I didn't sit up one day to go be a business mentor and a strategic consultant. It wasn't like I woke up and said, that's a destination I want to go to. I truthfully always knew from a really young age, I would start to create a business. And I, for many, many, many years, thought if I just knew what I would want to do, I'd go do it because I'd get tired of myself in the inactivity. Right. But it was through, conversations, opportunity, choosing to bet on myself that I found myself invited by peers to have conversations over a glass of wine or a cup of coffee. And people kept saying, tell me how you see the world because it's remarkable the speed at which you travel. And I was like, just an average girl trying to figure it all out. Hot mess one moment and really driven the next. And it was through that journey that I eventually said, people were like, another 90 days would go by and they'd come up to me and say, I'd love another cup of coffee. I'm struggling to change and to implement, to do the things that, seemed like breathing to you. Could we spend a bit more time together? And I at that point, I started to say, it's painful watching you do the hokey pokey. What are you doing? Business is not that complicated. But I truthfully, because I spent all my life in it, I did not realize the lens and the clarity of which I had earned was so hard to come by when you were starting. And so today I help clients all around the world and I help them figure out who is their next client predictably, consistently, profitably, and frequently. Because then you're not waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning wondering where the heck is my next customer coming from?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I love that, guys. Oh my goodness, each panelist that I speak to, I'm so excited to speak to, but your bio it smacked me in my face and it resonated with me, myself. And, I find myself saying, even as a coach and a mentor myself, I may have to pick you guys' brains, and join your services because you guys are amazing. And I am so blessed to have you joining me. So again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Well, together we'll rise. That's the cool bit of this. Together we will rise and create big ripples and be seen. And truthfully, we need more truth tellers in the world.
Absolutely. We have to embrace our story, our journey, what we've been through, and we have to stop being afraid to be unapologetic in telling it. Yes. I talk about imposter syndrome all the time. I never dreamed of being able to sit next to the people that I've been able to sit next to and meet because I felt like I wasn't as polished. But that's part of the charm of me because you get it real and raw. So I love that you are tell it like it is. You don't, no hold bars, as they say.
Well, and let me just say something to that imposter syndrome, because a lot of people will cast stones saying, you've created $1 billion of people, you don't suffer from it. And that's really far from the truth. There's a stat I remember when I first started to go into mentorship and I kept being invited to sit in somebody else's business dreams, that 95% of women suffer from imposter syndrome. People who are highly capable in some element of their life, whether they're really capable being an amazing daughter, an amazing partner, an amazing mom, amazing person of faith, an amazing contributor in the corporate space, they all have something they're great at.
Absolutely.
And yet the moment they find themselves in a wobbly world, they abdicate their power. They step back from opportunity. They defer to somebody else, and they really shouldn't. All of us have a unique lens in the world, and people value the lens in which you bring because it's the only unique element we each curate just simply by getting out of bed every day. Like nobody but your, in my case, the God walks with you. So you need to find a way to say it, and it doesn't have to be polished. It just has to be said because somebody needs what you have to say, because your experience, your expertise can be highly valued. And it begins by you saying, I've got something to say.
Yes. Yes. I love it. You see that, guys? Are you listening? So, same message, just said in different words, but essentially believe in you.
Mm-hmm. And always bet on yourself.
Always. So with supporting over 400 businesses, they had to bet on themselves. Okay. Tell us, by supporting those 400 companies and generating over 1 billion in revenue, some people don't make $1,000, tens of thousands of dollars. You've generated over 1 billion. So what do you see as the most common mistake entrepreneurs make when trying to scale their business?
Well, the first thing is, without doubt, is you're making it complex by choice. Because complexity gives you a million excuses of why you're busy. It's the excuse of, I need a logo, I need a website, I need to do this, I need to lose 30 pounds, I need to whatever. Nobody has their stuff together from day one. Nobody. And so it is simpler than you're making it. Conversation, person to person, create value, and you will build money. And, $1 billion is a lot of money, but truthfully, it is earned $1 at a time. And if you don't know what it takes to run a business, why on earth do you think complexity is desirable? I tell people so often that somebody sent me this thing for the wall behind my desk, that business is elegantly simple. And that's why people kept wanting to have coffee with me. And I'm like, I've worked across industries. I've worked across geographies. I've worked in different job roles. At the end of the day, it's not complicated, but you choosing complexity is a choice, and it's limiting your ability to create results because you can't scale, duplicate, or even remember what you did last time when it's complicated.
Yes.
The more moving parts, the better. Business, in some ways, is about the goal line of being boring. And I mean that in a good way. Create something, offer it, consistently repeat the pattern so that you sit at 80% capacity. Why 80%? Because you always have 20% for fun. Take time out of your business. Find a new opportunity. Go create something, or just life. You can't be Mach 10 hair on fire all the time, and your complexity is killing you. It doesn't have to be that way. You're choosing it. I'm going to inspire you to think, how could I simplify this?
I really do, because I need to implement that myself. How can I simplify this? I absolutely love that. I'm going to have to start thinking about that tomorrow. How can I simplify certain processes? And we do make things more complicated, and some of us use those complications as an excuse not to do something, where others find a resolution. And
that's right. You have to problem solve. And here's the simplest thing. When people would have coffee with me and ask what was my unique lens on the world, I built my first business 1 hour a day. And it is not that I'm a unicorn. I did have a lot of years behind me, but I'm not a unicorn. Here's the simple truth. 2 things grow your business. Just 2, not 100, 2. Did you make an offer to somebody? Okay, most of us are not even doing that. So no wonder you don't have any cash in your business. And number 2 is, are you finding the person that you will make your offer to next? Like, that's it. If you do one thing today in your business, it has to be these 2 things if you want to create a business.
Okay.
And
Okay.
truthfully, an offer is not a social media post, come buy my stuff. It's not. An offer is something very specific. You already know that there's a problem. You know how to solve it. They've said, I'm ready to have you tell me what it is. And you ask,
Right.
would you like me to make you an offer? And if
Right.
somebody says, yes, you make one. And truthfully, if you don't know who you're looking for, it's very hard to find them.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
guys,
I agree.
2 things, just 2, grow your business.
You see?
Everything else is a distraction. Everything. Your SEO, your website, your new logo, the cute graphics. Nobody hires you if you got cute graphics. They like it, yes. Would they hire you for it? No, because if you've got, trust me, if you follow me any length of time, you'll know that my stuff has typos in it all the time. Because I don't type as fast as my brain moves. And you're really sure, are you going to ever not hire me because I have typos? Maybe. But you're really sure it's me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially in the world of AI.
Typos and all.
Yes, absolutely. That's me. I am definitely the typo queen. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I said, let me go back and edit.
Oh, I always get the text from my husband. You might want to go read what you posted.
Yes.
And to be fair, I've also now kind of addressed that service gap because, yeah, we can polish. And so, yes, I have some team now that runs through some of my stuff. But truthfully, just remember, it is simpler. 2 things will grow your business and 2 things will predict your business. And if you don't have the business you want right now, it goes back to when's the last time you made an offer and do you know who you're looking for and have you found enough of them? Because your business will be built on strangers. And the hardest bit of adulthood, I don't know how to make friends with strangers. But you're going to have to learn that skill if you want to be in business. Yes, and truthfully, as a human, you will be happier if you are connected to the fabric of community.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All about finding your tribe, those people who support you and having that supportive network. The very first thing I actually had to learn in business is my friends and family are not my target audience.
100%. It's rare that they are. And it's also equally rare that they are 100% behind you. Oh, yes. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. It's a beautiful blessing if they are. So please take it if they are.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it anyway. Because the coolest thing about the world, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Somebody needs what you have. Your family is not required to invest in your business. No, you do not have to give friends and family discounts. And you need to recognize that your business will be built on strangers. So it is up to you to go find some. And the coolest bit is a stranger will cheer for you faster, louder, and advocate for you probably more than somebody who's close to you. Because they're not tied to watching front row. And that's why you have to build community, that you can go into safe spaces and say, this didn't go well in my business, but not come home to your partner every day and just rant about how awful your business life is, because they're hopefully a good human and say, it sounds awful, please get out. And you're like, I want your support. That's not the best place to do that, but you do need spaces to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that being said, can you explain the 3 non-negotiable business foundations that you believe every entrepreneur needs for sustainable growth?
Yeah, there's actually 5, but without the first 3, you can't get anywhere. So I always start with 3 because I'm trying to keep it simple for you. The first thing is you have to get clear who your next client is. And what I mean is the intersection where that something's going on in their life that creates an eruption. And they have a moment. They probably had it many times because it's a problem that repeats. To be successful in business, please find a repeating problem. It's more effective.
Yes.
But they have a repeating problem. So they're saying, I'm done with this pattern. Something has to happen. crisis, a catalyst, an eruption. But you've got to know exactly what's happening so you can identify it, you can see it,
Okay.
and you can interrupt it. So the first piece of the puzzle is, who will your next buyer be? Which, here's a major hint, is not the same as your current buyer who's already made the decision to hire you. Not the same place. Okay, they're earlier in the journey. They're not sure they want to hire you yet. The person who is a current client already loves you. They may love and hate you, but that's good. They should. They're meant to be tension. That's the first puzzle piece. The second puzzle piece is, how will you move somebody? So you have to have a strategy. I don't care what tactic you use, but you have to have a game plan. How will you move somebody from curious to paid client? And that comes down to really being clear where you're moving them, why you're moving them, why it matters, the result that they seek. And so you've got to have a game plan that you run the play. And you know what they want, why you're the must hire and not just a likable expert. And you have a way to hold somebody's hand while they're scared, looking for a result that they both desire and fear at the same time. That's number 2. Yeah. Number 3 is, money moves hand when an offer is made. So what are you offering? And here's what's really important about the offer. 2 things. Value is created in the eyes of the buyer. So why does the buyer want this? Why is, for the buyer, it's non-negotiable? What does the buyer need to see, experience, behave, or desire that they're going to move towards your offer? And then you need to be clear. It's up to you as the business owner to lead the offer, which means make one. And be sure and certain that you know why yes is the best choice for them. And if it's not, you don't make the offer. Stand in integrity, please.
Yes.
And those 3 foundations every business needs. You must know who your next buyer is. You have to know how to move them. And you have to be sure that you can create value. You can't skip these.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for those that are going to 2, 4, and 5, 5 is leadership. Okay. You have to move yourself first. You have to move your client to the result. And you have to move team or other people that are influencing the outcomes. And 5, business is math. Like, there's dollars and cents. You have to run your business and treat it like a business. And there's numbers in everything. And the numbers never lie.
At all. This is true.
So when someone says, I don't have enough clients, I said, when's the last time you made an offer? And they're like, I made 1 offer in March. I'm like, great, it's not March. And truthfully, you think you're making more offers than you are. I know, because I have the same problem in my business.
And we must go back to making a social media post.
It's not
an offer. Making an offer.
It's not.
I want you guys to remember that. I see it every day. That's not making an offer. This is the expert. She said, that's not making an offer.
It's not. It's education. And remember, when you're putting social content out there, and there's a whole social content strategy, people don't want to see offer, 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 offer. They just tune out. And especially a generic, I've got this, I've seen it a million times before, offer. It will not help you. In my business, nobody trips over and ends up a client. Like, they don't trip over an imaginary line. Like, they've researched me, they've ended up in my space, they've probably done some due diligence, they've been to my website, and they show up and they're like, I have a problem. I'm like, great, what's the problem? They're like, well, I don't know who my next buyer is. I don't know what to say to them to get them to buy. And I don't know how the business math works. Okay, great. Well, I can solve that. I know how to solve that. Why is it important that we do it now? Why is this a moment? Because, to be clear, this is the same for my business as it would be for all of our listeners. Your buyer lights the spark. It's driven by desire. What do they want? Yeah. You're a response to that spark. You're a fuel source to putting it out or to gaining more flame. So you're a response to them, which means you should be intentionally seeking energy.
Yes.
It's so simple. And yet people are like, but I just want to post on social media. And I said, your family is not your buyer. The people who are on your social media channels may not be your buyer. Buyers are a really small subset of people. But when you know exactly what's going on for them and they experience you in your ability to observe them,
Yes.
they feel so seen that they're like, this is both equally as amazing and terrifying.
Yes. Yeah.
So now what? And that's an invitation to move, which is the second pillar, right? Like your goal is disruption and curiosity. People are spinning in a pattern that's not serving them. Your job is to see the pattern and go, oh, I know how to solve that. I have an opportunity to create a change in pattern. So you have to have intentionality to go disrupt the pattern. And then they say, well, now what's happening? Because I just noticed I stopped spinning. You're like, there's another option out there.
Yes.
Are you curious what it looks like? There's a million choices, but this is the one I see for you.
Right.
They're like, oh, that might be interesting. I'll start to follow you. But you've got to slow it down because they're like a toddler at a grocery store. They're distracted. They're going backwards. They're not sure why they've lost a shoe. What's going on? But you have to recognize that and guide them. Because then you're in a place where you're like, you're clear on what the result is. You know why it matters. They said, I think you can help me. And you ask these magical words. Would you like me to tell you what it's like to solve that? Because I could make you an offer to do that with you.
And do you hear what she just did, guys? She asked a question that requires now a response. Not just a post that people can scroll past, a short video people can scroll past. She got intimate, had a conversation, and asked.
Simple, right? Conversation moves clients. Conversation moves cash. Conversation creates the ripple. People say, well, I want to do all these complicated marketing things. I'm like, how about you just talk to strangers? And I don't mean creepy, weird strangers, just so we're clear. Right. But you need to recognize, well, you think your favorite client avatar in the world of marketing jargon is going to be this woman. She's 50. She lives in this part of the country. She's got 2 dogs and a cat and this kind of backstory. That might help you pick graphics. It might help you write some compelling copy. But truthfully, the guy in Starbucks in front of you could be your next client. Be aware of that.
Absolutely.
Sit next to the guy on the plane next to you. You're like, what do you do? Tell me, what do you do? You've got to be an observer and you have to be prepared to move. But conversation is the fastest thing that will move cash in your business.
Yeah.
Always. Always. It's not complicated. Don't worry about how pretty the graphics is.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I could go on and dig into this a little more and give examples, but then I would be holding you here forever. But please take note to what she's saying, guys. This isn't anything she's just pulling from the air. I can attest to these things being factual in my own journey. And that is something that I'm asking you guys to look at. Take a look at your journey, where you are right now, where you want to be. And if you aren't headed in that direction, seek a resource. Seek a means of mentorship. I'm not trying to sell you anything. We get mentorship from a lot of different things in life, but definitely seek out some type of assistance, right? Mm-hmm. And I would say she should be your first resource because
oh, thank you. But it's also an evolution. And I want to give you a free pass to this because we talked about perfection and this idea of imposter syndrome. You're not likely to hit it out of the park the first time you try to do this. And people come to me all the time and say, that's why I was invited out for coffees, is your clarity is really compelling. Okay, clarity is also in my business name for a reason. Clarity is not a destination because you chose your favorite red notebook to take to Starbucks on Tuesday at 2:00. Yes, I want you journaling. Yes, I want you thinking. I want you slowing down first to ask some very basic, simple questions, because these are foundations. There's a million ways you can play in your business. My biggest question to you is, does it feel like oxygen for you? Because this is a choice. To go into business ownership is a huge choice. And there'll be lots of people who don't advocate for that choice in your life. But you've got to have the tenacity to say, I don't need to be perfect because I'm going to make mistakes, take actions, and I'm going to evolve into clarity. And I'm, chapters ahead of that journey. And at the same time, I feel as equally as a work in progress as I did the day I started.
Yes.
Because it's evolving. And when you are in your own spin, you cannot see the forest for the trees.
Oh, yes.
Which is why mentorship is so important, because they're like, to you, it seems like I'm doing all the right things. I said I got my buyer, I've got the movement, I've done this, like it's just not working. And I will say two things. Forest for the trees, you've got gaps, people are falling in the middle and they're getting lost. So we have to fix that. And two, you can't see everything that's happening right in front of you. That's not the way the world works. The seeds you plant today could grow. And the question is, are you certain you will be here in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? I'm going to just tell a quick story. I was invited to speak on somebody's platform in August. She had reached out to me, old fashioned here, guys, by phone, because she found my phone number on my website. Hello, she didn't read my social media post. That was cute. And she said, I heard you speak 2 years ago in a women's group, and you made a big impression 2 years ago. I've been watching your business for the last 2 years. I really need you to come into my community and help them today. And my certainty has grown in 2 years. My commitment is 2 years down the road, and I am still at the same phone number 2 years later.
Yes.
Because it compounds. And so the only thing you can control today is your speed. Mentorship helps. Working with people who've been where you want to go, and somebody who can call you with great love and respect, truthfully on your own blind spots.
Yes.
That says, you are out of integrity and incongruent. What are you doing? I'm not here to judge. I'm asking a simple question. What are you doing? Yes. So either we need a course correction or you're self-sabotaging. Well, probably there's an element of both. That's cool. Now what? Where do we go from here? It's the most compelling investment you can make. And truthfully, you want somebody as a mentor who has, yes, had success, but equally as important, we'll talk about the moments it didn't go so well.
Yes.
When we don't hit things out of the park, when we know that 20% of our great ideas get seen and 80% get shelved. Yeah. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Action is where the rubber hits the road. You want a mentor who is prepared to take you behind the curtain and say, well, this is what we're trying, because it matters. And I know I'll be here in 3 years, and somebody who listens today might become a client. Yes, next month. And yes, 3 years from now.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sure I'm going to be here. Are you?
Absolutely. Yes. We want microwave results. I was just speaking of this earlier, and that's just not business. So if your expectation is that you're going to come up with this idea today, and tomorrow you're going to drop it and you're going to make $1 million, this isn't for you.
No.
At all.
And even if you do, here's the kicker, because life is funny. Even if you do, you will have so much questions of, could I do it? And what did I do? And how did I do it? And wow, I feel like a fraud. It actually is the biggest mind bend, because I tell people they come to work with me when they're in a sophomore slump. They've had typically some sales. I mean, yes, do I work with a brand new business? Yes, but you've got to be well funded, because I've got to be sure you're going to build all the skills to get there. But more likely you're in a sophomore slump, which means you had proof of concept, but you've stalled. And that stall is not going to define you unless you let it define you.
Yes, absolutely.
Pick yourself back up. And there is a lot of that evolution. And that can feel like 10 ways forward and 5 years back. So I will give one business tip here. This is a life tip, actually, one of the most, I think, valuable things. And I wonder what it'll do over time. But when I first started my business 5 years ago, a friend of mine sent me a 5-year journal. I think there's 5 or 6 lines each year. started in 20 blank, blank, blank.
Okay.
And I have been documenting my journey for 5 years.
Yes.
I'm in year 4. And when I got this journal, and I will be buying another one. I already know that. And I've got a client of mine who sells rare books and manuscripts. I said 100 years ago, somebody might want to read this journal. What's it like to grow a business in 2020,
Right.
2025? And it's remarkable whether the things that scared me last year versus the things that scare me now.
Okay.
The things that I was doing for the first time 3 years ago that now I wouldn't bat an eye on. You are moving. You just can't see it because you're in your own blind spot. Document it. It's such a fun journey. And some of it, is life and family and the dynamics of bringing, your humanness to your role.
Yes.
But seriously, you can't see the speed you're moving. And don't let that do a mind bend for you, because others people's judgment are not your concern. Do not let them live rent free in your head.
Absolutely.
Do you? Bet on you, believe you can, and equip yourself to be successful, knowing you're a work in progress. And that's what makes you amazing. Nobody wants the perfection. Nobody wants an ideal they can't live up to. Like, your clients always want to know that they're safe with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Which means you make mistakes too. You put your pants on 1 foot at a time.
Yes.
Unless you're like a 4-year-old who somehow manages to figure out how to do it at the same time. Like, that's possible, but
they just jump into it, make it look so easy. Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. One of the things that you mentioned, or we've been discussing, is the perfection and being able to strive after failure. So in your experience, how do you advise business owners to handle setbacks or failures during the growth phase?
I think the first thing is to honestly celebrate them. And I don't mean necessarily, a party itself, but I want you to remember that this moment is like, I always look at something when I'm failing and I go, well, I'll never suck at this as much as I do right now. And that's a good thing. So, like, I will tell you, when I ran my very first event, I had 115 people register for it because I'm a good network who wanted to support me. To the point you made, friends and family are not my buyers. 115 people registered. 2 people showed up for my event. 1 left halfway through the event, and the 1 person in the room was who I needed to serve. I threw myself a rather epic pity party.
Okay.
I was so disappointed, so disheartened, and boy, was it a really valuable lesson. My husband said to me, will you be back at your business tomorrow? I was like, I don't know. Throwing a big pity party over here. Can't you see? It's got streamers and everything. And he's like, you show up for 1 person always, never forget that. Because that 1 person you made a really big difference to, and that 1 person needed you. And there's a fortune and serendipity that was meant to be, and you needed to do that. And your ego needed this hit to it. And how I approach my business now, I'm always really mindful, which is why I make offers 1-to-1 to this day. If you want direct coaching from me, it's because you and I have had a conversation.
Right.
Because I'm really sure I'm betting on you, not your business idea. And you're really sure you're betting on my business expertise to help you find a great business idea. But when you are in the place of a setback, you have to see it as, this was valuable input I wouldn't have gotten any other way. And I don't need to know in this moment what's great about it. I don't need to send thank you cards for the moment I got kicked, but I am sure I can trust and have faith that this will serve me. Absolutely. And the biggest question to ask yourself is it worth getting up and trying again? And that has to come from you. It can't be an obligation. It can't be because it's expected, because truthfully, the only way you can do it is to bet on yourself, which is, I might be hardly breathing, but I'm going to choose to stand here.
Yes.
Really major setback. And I've had some really epic ones. Spend some time around me, you'll know I'm happy to talk about this moment. And I'm like, I'm still not sending thank you cards. It's 10 years later, but I wouldn't be here without it. And it makes you cannot observe expertise. Expertise comes from experience. So you're going to have to get scrappy. You're going to have to get wet in the water. Yes. and you can imagine it. And that's why a lot of people, truthfully, that's why there's so much charlatanism in the mentorship space, because I could tell you a good game. And I hope we've been empowering and I hope we've been entertaining. But if all you do is listen, I have fallen short of the expectation we set, the intention we set to be on your screen today, which was I want to move you to implement something.
Yes.
And in things you will get experience. You will get knowledge you cannot get any other way.
Absolutely.
And in hindsight, you just got to trust the bigger picture, because you're here for a reason, and you not doing it is a delay. Not that you're not going to do it, because trust me, God is pretty funny. He keeps hammering until you pay attention. So
yes.
I'm going to say, if you're not listening today, it's a delay. You will not outsmart the bigger plan.
Absolutely.
We're not capable. So sometimes it is surrender or grace or belief, but it's also, I am still not ready to learn this lesson.
I'm a walking testimony. Okay. I was the hard-headed child. So God does have to allow me to learn my lessons multiple times.
Yeah, he gives you the choice.
Yes.
You create the patterns. And when you're in the place of disruption, I mean, this is the perfect example, not taking credit, but it's the right people in the right room to say, I was ready to hear that. I'm ready to move that. And same language, different persons, different expertise. We all resonate differently, but there are messengers. And sometimes the messenger is meant to walk with you. And sometimes the messenger is meant to disrupt your pattern of thinking, to set you on the exploration path.
Yes.
All the variations are welcome.
Yes. And this is where the Women of Success panel comes in, because you beautiful women that I have met have disrupted my thought process and actually made it better.
You made it better because you were open-minded and curious. And you integrated what you heard from each speaker or what you saw in their application to say, this is what I believe in this moment the intersection point needs. Like you are crafting this experience. Yes, we are co-collaborators to it, but I'm going to challenge you to say, don't advocate some of that responsibility because it was actually you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I it's nice to hear that, actually. It really is. It is. Thank you. Because we have these egos and I have thoughts and I'm like, yeah, I'm killing it. Oh my goodness. And then you're like, but are you really?
100%.
Really what you're supposed to be doing?
There's 100% of wobble. I said, from the outside, our desire, human desire is I want to look like the swan, right? Graceful, in control, elegant. And underneath I'm paddling so freaking hard I don't know if I'm coming or going. Look below the surface. You can be both.
There we go. Yes. Absolutely. And that goes into that message of letting go of what you think perfection is, because it actually doesn't exist. There's no perfect human being. There's no perfect process. There's no perfect anything except God. He is.
And you are perfect from how he sees you. You're exactly as you need it to be. And that's why I think the most compelling thing, like the reason I got out of bed and said yes to when people kept asking me to mentor them, was I don't want to get to the end of my time saying I was gifted that opportunity and I was scared to say yes. That's also why I will do things that scare me, because I said it's not about me. It's about being seen by somebody else who needed what I had to say. My testimony serves in other ways I cannot see. And when I get scared, which happens every day, just so we're clear, I always have my coach in my head saying to me, are you going to rise to your potential or settle for your level of habit? Because for most people, they're like, she does an amazing thing. She's created 400 companies, created $1 billion. Like, she could rest.
Yes.
And she's like, what if that was the practice lap?
Ooh.
That's my coach in my head. What if that's the practice lap?
Ooh,
you are settling into your habits. And what if there's another gear? She's like, there's another gear, you wouldn't be here. I'm like, oh, you're right. And I do know that too. And the gear is not outside.
Yes.
It's just not. And that's why one of the most profound things in every woman I know, every business owner I know, but I've really watched it front row with a lot of women, you have to decide you want it for you. So many of us go into business because I want to save my family. I want to retire my husband. I have this great need to serve. I said, be of service to yourself. It's not selfish. God made you. And the big challenge is you have to decide you're doing this for you. When I first started my business journey, it's a funny story because I didn't get out of bed on Wednesday to start a business. And someone came and brought me an opportunity on Wednesday. And I was like, interesting, but there's a million reasons not to say yes. And then I could hear myself with the convenient excuse of, I don't have money, I don't have time. And neither were completely true because both are abundant. You create them. If you're breathing, you have it. Stop trying to tell yourself you don't. And I could hear myself listening to myself, and I'm like, that's not who I want to be.
Okay.
I'm scared to bet on myself. What's happening?
Yes.
Take back the control and bet on yourself. You're still breathing. There's a reason. This moment came to you. Pay attention. And I said yes in a heartbeat. And then I went down to my kitchen. My fiance at the time was making coffee. And I'm like, I've just started a business. He's like, you did what? I'm sorry. You were brushing your teeth. I left you upstairs. What the hell is just happening? and then he's like, hey, wait, back up. We should have conversations about big decisions like this. And I'll be truthful. I was a 40-year-old woman getting married for the first time. I'm like, I've never been married before. So if there's rule books about this, I should probably get a copy, maybe 2. Because it also didn't occur to me to consult you.
Right.
I mean, that's Absolutely. Just truth. I was not meant to be mean or arrogant or anything. I was like, right. This was about me and I needed to do it for me. And he's like, okay, then what does it mean for us and the family that you are now stepping into? Because I was stepping into a family, I was becoming a bonus mom and all kinds of other things were going on in that dynamic. Okay. I said, I'll commit to building my business 1 hour a day while you guys watch episodes of Friends.
Okay.
I watched Friends on the original. I didn't need to see it in 10-time replay. And that's how it all started. But the truest words I have ever spoken, and my husband now reminds me of it when I need a course correction. You do this for you. It is part of who you are and the service that you were asked to deliver. So do you want to settle to your habits or rise to your potential? Because truthfully, if you were getting out of your own way, you could help in a bigger way. And it's a good reminder that it's not about me. I have to just show up with the action because I do not control the outcome. That's God's role. But I can control whether I show up. I control whether I cast ripples. And I can show up with all my ducks in a row. And I can show up when I'm hurting them, honestly, into 10 different fields. Absolutely. But I just choose to show up. And I choose my speed. Some days are Mach 10 hair on fire. Some are not. But I don't ever quit the game. Because I know that I need to do this for me. And so when I look to my vision board, I look to that, it's like, it's easy to take the step of 1%. Do one thing. Make one offer. Have one conversation. Care about one human being. It's easy. It doesn't fatigue me. It feels like oxygen. And I go, well, that's what I needed to do today because somebody that I reached out to and connected to needed that today. And we met as we were intended. But you have to decide you're doing it for you. And that is not a selfish statement. You were gifted your own lens. And truthfully, you cannot do things in service of others. It doesn't, that's when you're looking for motivation. I'm motivated to do this for my kids. I had this conversation and it's an extreme example. So I mean this in extreme parental consent. Please be aware. I said, you're telling me to do this for the money so you can put your kids in schools and camps. That's what you told me. A client of mine told me that today. I said, I'm calling you out on that. Because did you make any offers today? The only way you'll move cash is if you made the offer. You didn't make any offers today. You updated your website. You had lunch. You did other things. Money is not your driver. Your kids' financial welfare is not your driver. And how do I know that? Because if you had a need to create cash, to keep a bailiff off the door, to feed your habit, they will hustle for cash. Yes. Do not believe you will ever do this for service of other people. It's not strong enough. When you have back to your wall and you say, I need this like oxygen, you will breathe. You will breathe. But you have to get clear. I'm doing this for me, and this is enough because it's actually everything.
I don't know about anyone else, but that God sent you to speak to me today. Okay. And I can only say that because as you were talking, me. I've been in service to other people for 20 plus years. So in my brain, I'm like, God called me to serve other people. But what if that, was not, it's not for them, it's for me.
What if you were in service of you and doing that served others?
Yes. So now you have me thinking in a different mindset shift.
Well, and that's beautiful, because the conversation I had with this other person, I said, remember, your job was to give birth to the baby and the baby left your body. So you're no longer 100% responsible for that body anymore. It's not part of you. It's not attached anymore. When you were gestating, you are responsible for this baby physically. You're hatching cells together. But once they leave you, I said, your job is truthfully to hopefully teach them to feed themselves and to dress themselves. But after that, there's a community that can care. It's not the same as a mother. I know that. But there's a community that another human can care for another human. We are wired to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
So I said, is really your daughter your motivator? I think it really comes down to, am I worthy? And I want to be worthy in the eyes of my child. I want to be worthy in the eyes of the Lord. I want to be worthy in the eyes of my partner and in my community and in my family relationship. That's just all true. But worth doesn't come from outside. It was given to you the moment you were created.
Yes.
It is your experience of worth that's the problem. And if you really want to move a mountain, you cannot do it in service of somebody else first, because you're waiting to be motivated and inspired. And instead, you need to say compellingly, it's like oxygen. I do it for me. And me being in alignment with my purpose here has big ripples that other people benefit from. But it has to come proximity to you. And that's why when you decide to get out of your way, you create events like this one.
Baby steps.
I will trust. I will trust.
Yes.
I will invite. I will show up. I will hold the water. And I will not be broken by the waves that get rushed at me. Because I am strong enough to handle anything, because I'm biologically, driven to breathe.
Yes. Yes.
I stopped just trying to think so hard about it. And if I'm not breathing, I'm going to remind you, put your oxygen mask on first. There's a reason they say that.
Yes. Yes.
You're not breathing. You need more clients. The answer is really clear. You're listening to me. It's hire me. And I don't mean that glibly. It's truthful.
Yes.
This might be your fastest path. I cannot do the work for you, but I absolutely know the path you should trade.
Absolutely.
Isn't that an accelerator? 100%.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I love this conversation that we've had. And I love the fact that you've answered things that were on my list to answer without me having to ask. And I absolutely love a conversation versus, an interview style. And you've given me a lot myself to think about. I've beat myself up about going through, revamps when you change positions and you decide that you want to go a different way. And I'm like, maybe I'm making an excuse. So maybe I'm not good enough to do this.
The best advice, you're not. You're evolving. And sometimes it's a stepping stone. And I remember that because I was a year ago, I was giving myself some tough love, similar pattern. Okay. Hello, women see women.
Yes.
And my friend called me on it and said, what if it wasn't a reinvention? What if it was an evolution? Because for you to have a taste of that was a clear indication I'm not in the right space. For you to have a taste of that. And that's not to say, and I do check my clients, just so we're clear, check my clients, are we running to or from something?
Yes.
And that's my blind spot. That's what I'm there for. Because I've had clients that come in and, they're like, my client avatar is Rita. She's going through this and we go through it. And then the next day it's like, I'm breaking up with Rita. I'm like, why are we breaking up with Rita? What's happening? Well, she irritates me. And does she irritate you because she disturbs you? Or truthfully, are you not wanting to serve somebody who doesn't want to be served? And there's all kinds of things to go through in that journey. But his invitation to me to look at it in a reframed point of view, which was you are evolving. But when you get closer, the signs and the struggles change.
Okay.
And that point you're saying, I'm in the right space. And now it's going to be really uncomfortable. For a while until you stop fighting.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not clean and sometimes it's pretty scrappy and that's okay. Hopefully you have good people in your life. And if not, you always do. Don't forget that. You don't walk alone. And when you're in that space, sometimes it's a stepping stone. Yeah. And sometimes it's just the lesson you needed or the person you met in that moment. Just keep choosing to evolve.
Yes. I absolutely love this conversation. And see, this is why I was so excited to meet you. This day was ordained. The young lady before you that's on the panel, she's faith-based coach. And your message aligned with hers without even trying. And then before we met, I was listening to my pastor and he asked, are you running towards something or are you running from something? So when you just said that, I was like, God, I see you today. See you.
Well, and it's a good question to ask. And that's why when you are clear, and that's okay, you can do both. Like, let's be clear. Sometimes the need to get away from something drives us really hard. And that's a good thing. But at some point, you need to decide on directing the momentum. Because truthfully, just always remember this analogy. It's the most visible thing you see every day is sitting in a car. The rear view mirror is 10% the size of the windshield. Which direction are you facing and what are you focusing on? Stop looking backwards. Who you are, what has happened does not define you unless you choose to let it define you. Right about now, and that's why strangers will cheer for you faster than people generally who walk the world with you, because they show up and say, I met you today. I know nothing about your backstory unless you volunteer it. Okay, social media is slightly longer tail. They don't always control some things that come out in the internet around you, but you get to direct the view. So focus on the non-negotiables. Yes. Simplify things. Get clear. Nothing will move you faster than your own ability to breathe. So do something for you and know that there will be other people that will walk into your space or themes that walk into your space. And, sometimes we're bullheaded, but truthfully, there's also, maybe this is so easy. And I was in that room because the right answer is solve the problem, not avoid the problem. And guess what? Solving one problem and avoiding one problem creates a new set of problems. Guess what? Life is all about solving the problem.
Absolutely.
It's the journey of the highs and lows. It's the human experience.
Oh my
But I also want it to be like oxygen, and I want it to be like, even when it's bad, like, I'm sure I'll laugh at this. Like when I've had some catastrophic moments in my business, I'm like, this will make a great story at some point. Right now it really sucks, but there'll be a great story in this down the road. And that's why I said I do celebrate those setbacks, because I'm like, I couldn't make this stuff up.
Yes.
Life is strange.
I was talking about this earlier. Absolutely. I tell you, I have been blessed with some beautiful, powerful women, and Miss Christine will be joining us for our VIP panel. So I felt like you were preaching to me today. I mean, I hope, I know the audience got something, but I just felt like you were preaching to me today. Like this was my sermon. This was my coaching session, and it was just for me. I hope you all got something out of it, but if not, I did. So thank you.
Well, we showed up to do one thing, and that was to light the way. Together we did that. Together we rise. Remember?
Yes. Absolutely. Her spirit, you guys, I just feel it through the screen. It is just so powerful. And I try not to, throw my religiousness, my spiritualness at you guys so much. But like I said, I just felt like this was an ordained message. I'm glad she was here to share it with us. And I'm looking forward to her being on the panel in December. Give them a preview of what you'll be discussing in December.
So we're going to take some of these concepts and dial them in. And what's important is you're going to need to hear this more than once, because chances are you're like us, you're a little bullheaded, and you're going to need to start to connect the dots. Yes. Because the biggest thing is learning to connect the dots. The reason we feel stuck is because we've stopped making decisions. Decisions are the conduit to new information. So we're going to be looking at the non-negotiables. We're going to get really around who is a buyer, because if you're going to move your business, we need exchange of energy. We need exchange of cash. We need an exchange of ideas. We need to know who that buyer is. And the big question you're wondering is, I don't even know if I know who a buyer is. I'm going to say chances are you're spending too much time talking to the someday buyer. And here's a preview. You'll go broke in that lane. broke financially, broke emotionally, broke all kinds of spirit levels. And truthfully, put your turn signal on and get out of the lane. We're going to show you how.
Yes. Ooh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Any last words for our viewers?
I'm going to amplify a word I said before, but everything you want is on the other side of fear. What do you want? It's time to answer that call, because you have to do it for you. Yes. It's time to put our oxygen mask on. And it does not make you selfish. It makes you in service. Yes. Yes. And you are not on a conference call, so you don't have to justify this to everybody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Somebody else will support you.
She said, what do you want?
What do you want?
What?
I have this great debate with my bestie all the time. She's like, I don't think people know what they want. And I go, oh, I don't agree with that at all. Because you have a dream, you just don't think you can have it. You've seen it in your mind. You don't think you're worthy of it. But come on, if you had the vision in your mind, there's a way.
Yes.
There is a way. And I'm not saying it's going to be rainbows and unicorns and it's going to be easy. I want you to know, I will always challenge you to say, is it worth it for you? Because that is a personal reflection. That's why you have to do it for you. Because you can't do it because you're obligated. You can for only so long, but you can't forever. Absolutely. That's why the burden feels heavy. Put it down. What do you want? And if you're not really sure, I would say, honestly, go back to your earliest memories when you started filtering what was allowed, what was permissioned, what did you need to do to fit into the spaces that don't serve you. I will tell you, if we actually delayer and go through that evolution, you actually always knew. And sometimes we don't know because we can't see the forest of the trees. That's normal. That's why being in thinking circles, that's why working with somebody to help peel things back and to be truth tellers to you. I am not here to supplant an idea for you. Yeah. I'm here to say, I'm asking if it's true. I'm listening to my senses, my expertise, and what you say and your actions to say, are they congruent? I.e., do they match? And if not, I'm going to say, what gives? You're not here to sell me.
Right.
I am just a mirror. Once you're clear, we can create it. Yeah. And clarity is an evolution. But truthfully, I think you just need to know, stop discounting what is possible because of your current limits. Ask yourself what you want and remind yourself and explore why it's worth it. Because once you start to focus on what you want instead of what you don't want, everything starts to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whew, what a word. What a word. Well, I hope that you guys took some notes. If not, definitely check the chat. There are some nice notes inside of that. And then again, Miss Christine will be joining us for our VIP panel, okay? VIP. The information.
That's the room you want to be in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be a powerful session. There are going to be some goodie bags and all of that good stuff, some freebies given out, but more importantly, the message. And she has a powerful one. I mean, again, I'm sitting here myself like, wait a minute, where do I sign up for these services at? Because
I'll help you do that.
Yes, absolutely. So please make sure that you guys tune in December 7th. Join us at the Women of Success panel. I'm so looking forward to you guys getting more powerful information. I'm going to put it up here for a few minutes. The tickets are actually live on the website, so you can go ahead and grab them. I'll be putting some more information out. Marketing will just officially drop for it next week. But right now, the tickets are there. There's a pre-sale going on. So please make sure that you go and grab your ticket. Get the VIP ticket because, again, this is one of the young ladies that you will be meeting. And I don't know about you, but I want to learn from someone who has created $1 billion in revenue by herself. Okay. She had an idea. She had a belief. She put in the work. She created her dream. So I'm not going to harp on any longer. Miss Christine, it's been a pleasure having you. I look forward to working with you further. And guys, we'll see you Thursday for our regular scheduled Boss Talk with Empowerment Maven. But definitely tune in next Tuesday. We will have Miss Kiana Park. I believe her last name is Parker. I'm so sorry. It's 25 beautiful women. And I don't have my notes right in front of me, but she will be joining us next Tuesday to give you some insights to what she'll be speaking about as well. You guys have a blessed evening, and thanks for tuning in.
See you in December.
See you in December.